Hello and everyone to our channel Horizons Tomorrow. Today, as usual, we have a very special guest all the way from a very far place. His name is Robert Langridge. And Robert, good morning to you. Please tell us, where are you and what time is it there?
Good morning, Gustavo. Yes, well, it's exactly 10 a.m., so 10 o'clock in the morning in Canberra, Australia.
How about
It's winter
that?
here, so it's winter here, so it's foggy, cold, bit chilly.
I will imagine. And we are here in Bogota, and it's actually 7:02 on Thursday, July the 24th. But you are already on July the 25th. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes, we're very advanced in Australia, always ahead.
Absolutely. Robert, how would you like to disclose to our audience how did we ever met?
Oh, well, like some of your other guests, it's all because of the yo-yo. Your previous guest was Gunny, was it? Gunny?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so Gunny, well, it's very similar to him. So it was all about the yo-yo. From age of about 7, I first saw a yo-yo champion, and I was amazed by the tricks. And then every 3 years, they'd come to our city, and gradually, I would keep looking and trying to learn. And then when the sort of yo-yo craze finished and people put down the yo, I would continue for another few months and keep practicing. And gradually, yeah, that led to me becoming a Russell yo-yo champion and to work under Gustavo a couple of times in the 1980s, which is a long time ago.
Absolutely, yeah. But don't go too fast. How did you ever become part of the troupe? Give us a quick brief.
All right. So I'd become an adult and I was not eligible for competition. But when I was not 19, I went along to a yo-yo contest just to say hello to the yo-yo champions. I didn't know who they were, but I just went along to say hello. And and I said, "Can you show me such and such a trick?" I was trying to learn a new trick. And they said, "Oh, what can you do?" And I showed them the tricks I could do. And they said, "Oh, wow, that's quite good." At the moment in Sydney, there are some people training from scratch, from just the beginning, to try to become yo-yo champions. You're much better than them. You might have a chance of getting a job to become a yo-yo champion. Why don't you call up the manager there? And so I did. At this time, I was at university. I was a university student. And during my university winter break, I went to Melbourne for a bit of training. And at the end, I had to run a contest, and I was judged by a man called what was his name? By somebody,
Juan
and
José
he
Palacio.
oh, Juan Palacio came along, and he watched. And at the end, I said, "Well, how did I go, Juan?" He said, "Oh, well, you'll find out." And then soon after, I got a phone call to say, "Oh, yes, we're going off to South Africa." And so I then gave up my university studies for half a year and went to South Africa. And I worked under you and Cesar Perez in Johannesburg. Well, he says I was in Johannesburg. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you came along with some other Aussies as well. Would you be
Yes.
kind enough to remind us their names?
Well, there was Stephen Wilson, uh, and Stephen Butcher,
Yes. And
and, and a
Sarah
young
Owen.
lady, Sarah Owen. No, it
Yes.
wasn't Sarah Owen. It was the other one.
Oh,
It
the
was
other,
another
oh,
Aussie.
the little one, the little one.
That's right. Whose
No,
name
I
I can't
don't
remember.
remember her name, mate. What was her name
Hmm,
again?
good question.
Okay, never mind. We'll find out. Okay.
Getting
Then,
too
then,
old.
then after South Africa, we met again in Sendai, in Japan, which
That's right.
was a completely different adventure. And apparently that country cultivated you, cut you, as it did with me, and you made a decision that changed your life. How would you like to share that with us?
Well, so I went to Japan for the promotion and then went back to Australia. And I found out that I could study Japanese at university. And in the 2 months there, we picked up a few words. Of course, because Japanese grammar is so complicated, you can't really speak it, but you can say like adjectives and so on, communicate. Anyway, so I went back and started studying Japanese at university, and I did the full language degree while doing my other studies, which as well. And so then I returned to Japan many times to brush up my Japanese and eventually to work in Japan.
And I believe did you work in as an English teacher? Is that correct?
That's right. Yes, I worked as an English teacher and then moved into other jobs. And in the end, I stayed there for 9 years.
How
And
about that?
and of course, during that time, I also got married and had 2 children.
And you married to a lovely Japanese lady. Is that correct?
That's right. We met where she was a school librarian and I was English teacher, and we met. Yes, and we got married. So yes, the yo-yo transformed my life. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to do many more yo-yo promotions because the nature of the work is only short term, and obviously in my 20s I wanted long-term work. So it didn't really fit in with my plans, but yeah, so it did completely change my life.
Absolutely. It did to all of us. That. Anyway, today is a very special day, and please accept my most sincere congratulations for such a great win in the Tour of France by Ben Connor today. How did you ever like that?
Yes, well, Ben Connor, he was really hoping to get high on GC overall in the Tour de France in the general classification. And on day one, on day one, he was caught up in one of those crashes and got, hurt, but he could continue on. And through the first week, where there were those, sort of s stages with the shorter hills and the really punchy stages, yeah, he lost a lot of time and really struggled. And so his top five ambitions were gone. And then he was like sitting at 18th on GC. But today, well, yesterday, he was able to get in a breakaway. He's found his form again, and he was able to hold off Tadej Pogacar and win. So, yes, a magnificent win for Australia. There hasn't been much to cheer for during the Tour de France for Australians. So, yeah, it was a great day and great to see Ben coming back and fighting till the end.
Absolutely. Robert, when did you ever fall in love with cycling and the art of restoring bikes?
All right. So, yes, now we're moving to a new topic. So, I love bicycles, I guess, as well as yo-yos. Since I've got my first bike when I was about 6 years old. I was the kind of child who preferred riding rather than all of my friends used to like run or walk. But I loved having a bike and riding around. And with friends with bikes, we rode everywhere when we were young. And I kept that love going. I did a few triathlons in my early 20s, that triathlons where you run, swim, ride. And but then, of course, when in Japan, there's not the opportunity to do that much cycling, and I was always working. But one thing I did do was there were many old bicycles in the apartment where we lived. and I'd just sometimes get them out and tidy them up and fix them, and then let the small children in the apartments ride them. So I always liked fixing bikes, and then fast forward to when I was in my late 30s, I was still running to keep fit, but I found out there was a cycling club for over 35s. It was called Veterans or Masters. And I joined the club, and I've been a member for the last, I don't know, 25 years or so. And I've competed in over 600 races,
Wow.
all the way from local races up to the national championships. Um, and so I'll be doing that. I'm still involved in the club, but lately my health is not as great as it was. So I'm not as ferocious in my training and racing. So I've had to scale that down a bit, but still, I'm still involved. And then since retiring, I've got involved with, yeah, fixing and restoring bicycles. And in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I've probably, I don't know, fixed up, built maybe 30, 40 bicycles. And I'm part of a community group, and we have a space in a nearby suburb, and there are all the tools there. And when I go there 3 days a week and fix bikes for people, and also give cycling lessons so people can learn to ride and do anything involved with cycling.
I also understand that you have served as a volunteer in the Down Under Tour. Is that correct?
Well, no, not the down under, no, the World Championships.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
The World Championship. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Uh, yeah, that's okay. So I've been a volunteer for many things, or mainly sport related, all my life. So my highlights of volunteering are the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney and the marathon. I was involved in on the one of the drinks stands, giving out the drinks every 5 kilometers. So we did that for the men's and women's marathons and the Paralympic marathons. I've so that's running, and I've helped out at many races, running races during the 80s, 2000s. And then moving on to cycling, I have a qualification as a traffic controller, the people with the lollipop. It's stop and go people. So I have that qualification so I can legally stop traffic. And you do that for local races, but also in 2022, I volunteered as a sort of road marshal for the World Championships in Wollongong. And, I was just on the side of the road, making sure pedestrians didn't cross the road, and helping local residents get to where they were going because the roads were blocked, and doing all that.
Wow.
So, yes, I have a long history of volunteering in sporting events.
Yeah, wonderful. Please give us your insights about this year's Tour de France.
Well. Well, I think the main thing you can say is that Tadej Pogacar has really matured as an athlete. I think not only has he become physically much stronger and faster and better, but also he's now more sensible because in the 2 years when he lost the Tour de France to Jonas Vingegaard, it was usually because he was being too foolish and using up too much energy when he didn't need to. But this year he's been very conservative with his energy, and really showed that he's the dominant athlete in cycling in the moment. I mean, only have to look at his season so far. He won the UAE Tour. Yeah, obviously he didn't win Milan San Remo, but that's a very hard race for anyone but a sprinter to win. and because he's so heavily marked. But then and Amstel Gold was another race where he wasn't at his best fitness, but all the other, and then of course in Paris-Roubaix he crashed, but then he won Liège-Bastogne-Liège. He won Fèche Wallonne. Of course, he won the Criterium Dauphiné, and now he's just, well, 4.5 minutes or 4 minutes 40 seconds ahead in the Tour de France. So yeah, so he's been amazing.
Robert, I'm pretty sure you have achieved most of your goals in life. What would you tell to all those new generations that are watching us? What would be your golden advice to them in how to achieve their dreams?
I think the most important thing is persistence, knowledge, and then from small successes, you get motivation, and that keeps you going.
How would you like to tell us about your lovely country and why it should be a must to all travelers?
Well, Australia is well in the southern hemisphere. So for one thing, the obviously when you if you come, most people come from the northern hemisphere, the weather's going to be different. But it's a very large continent, so because of that, the climate can be so different in the north, which is tropical, to the south, which is quite cold. And so you've got so you can see totally different, environments. Then it's a huge country, and most of the people live on the coastal areas. And as you go inland, it's farming area and national parks and lots of nature. So yes, if people from big cities come to Australia and they want to get out to into away from civilization, then there's lots of places here. In the center of Australia, of course, it's great for astronomy, looking at the night sky and seeing the sky from the southern hemisphere. Also, Australia is a country of many people from many countries. A vast majority of Australians have parents who are born overseas or born overseas themselves. And so it's cities like Sydney and Melbourne. You can go around to the local areas and enjoy foods from all over the world and see people from all over the world. Like only just on the weekend, we were in Sydney and went to an area there were a lot of Afghans living there. And so we went to a restaurant called Kabul House and had lovely Afghan meals. So it's very diverse. And of course, what else can I say about Australia? Well, the coast, of course, is beautiful. Um, and things like surfing, swimming, of course, great activities you can do. And yeah, it's just a great country and pretty stable, very stable politically, and people are quite easygoing.
Absolutely.
Oh, good. Well, maybe I should ask you some questions. So tell me about Colombian cycling. So in the 1980s, we know that Colombian cyclists suddenly burst onto the scene as great climbers because, of course, Colombia is such a mountainous country, and people living at 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters altitude is normal. And because of that, they have amazing ability to do well in the very high mountains. What was your first experience with Colombian cycling, and why have you been a fan for all these years?
Well, as a matter of fact, since being a very young kid, our parents, actually our dad, will take us to see the Vuelta a Colombia, and we will listen to the whole stage on our small transistor radios, huh? And we will follow all the radio programs. There was no much TV at that time, and we will have a small booklet where we will fill out all the times and classifications, and we fall in love with the sport, with one of our first champions. He's 80 something now. His name is Martin Emilio Cochise Rodriguez, and he was the one who ignited that passion within ourselves, not only to me, but to every single Colombian of my age. He became the champion of the 4,000 meters in the velodrome, right in
Mhm.
Swiss. in 1971. And then he got the record for the hour. And from there on, he moved up to one World Tour team with Felice Gimondi in Italy. And back in 1973, he was the very first Colombian to take part in the Tour de France. Then a few years passed, and Patrocinio Jimenez climbed the Tourmalet in 1984, and from there on we had the Nairos, the Egans, the Boteros, and what have you. Unfortunately, in the last few years, we haven't done so well, but we have the faith that we are coming back because there are so many young kids practicing cycling in Colombia.
Great. But also in other cycling events like track and BMX, like you have
Absolutely.
the lady
You touched
Pajon.
Yes, now you touch nerve. Mariano Pajon is our pride. You know, he won two golden medals in the Olympics and one silver medal, if I'm not mistaken. And she's the queen. She's the queen of the BMX. And we have so much variety of sports here. Different from other countries, we have good soccer players, we have boxers, we have athletes, we have swimmers, we have everything like you guys do. But to me, cycling is my passion, and you know that. And
So here's one more question. So how many times have you been to Australia, and what was your impression when you first arrived back in the, I think it was the 1970s? It would, because it's Australia, of course, was a much smaller country and not very busy. How did you find it? And what do you remember?
you touch nerve. You touch nerve because we were in the Philippines running a promotion there. We actually with JJ, Jose
Mm,
Giraldo and Cesar Perez, and I got sick in the Philippines, and I thought I was going to jeopardize my trip to Australia. So there was a typhoon, right? The night of our departure, and just
mm,
2 blocks before the airport, it was flooded. So the taxi couldn't go. So someone came in a small boat, and he took us
mm.
to the airport in a boat. So when I was in that jumbo jet from Qantas, I backed up twice because I didn't want to go back. I really wanted to go down under, and there he was, our great friend Davy Jones, waiting for me.
Mm,
And then he took us to this hotel in King's Cross, where the action
mm,
was back in those days. He gave us the jackets, and unfortunately, and I must confess this, this is the very first and the only time I regret that I was fluent in Japanese, because
mm.
of my skills with the language. I was called back to Japan, and they didn't let me finish the promotion that I wanted so much.
Oh,
So I just stayed for about 2 months. And what
mm.
could have been a wonderful trip of 4 months or something, I just worked in Sydney for 2 months. While working in Sydney, every other Thursday, after I finished my last contest, guess where I have to go?
To where?
I have to go to Lithgow, which was
Oh,
a little town in the middle of nowhere.
nowhere.
So I will arrive there, let's say 7 o'clock at night. All right.
Mm,
And the hotel at that time at night, it was a bar, right?
mm.
It was just like in the West. I mean, like one of those bars in those cowboy in those westerns, right? So I was wearing my red jacket with my Coca-Cola logo and what have you, and then I will approach the lady, and she will say to me, "What can I get you?" And I say, "A room." And I say, "Sure, go to number 7." And I say, "Do you want me to pay you now?" And she said, "No, no worries. Come down afterwards for dinner." And then I came down for dinner, slept well. And then next morning, what was a bar was the restaurant, and every other guest was having breakfast, right? And there were only two schools in town, right? So she gave me directions in how to get to the school, and then
Mm.
went and knocked on the principal's office, and he said, as we all did, introduce ourselves and tell them what we're there for. And the guy said, I beg yours, where are you from? And I say, I am from Colombia in South America. And he could not believe his eyes. And I say, well, if you could give me at least 10, 15 minutes during the break time, I could possibly do the demonstration for the children. I say, what are you talking about? I will stop the whole school right now. So he was so he was so excited. And then he invited me for tea and cookies and what have you. Huh? And then I went to the other school. And then in the afternoon, the whole of the two schools were at the contest. And I could hardly manage that. So it happened like four times, if I'm not mistaken. And in one of those way backs, I stopped in one place that I don't know whether that exists or not, but it was called the Old Sydney Town. And then, Robert, something very special happened. Huh? I was in South Africa back in 1988, and David Jones contacted me once again. Huh? And he say, I want you to come and be my right hand man, right?
Mm.
And he said to me, I'm going to be here just for the beginning of the promotion, and off I go to Europe, you know. And he went to England to prepare the promotion in
Mm.
England, and he left me in charge in 1988 of the year of the yo-yo campaign that I'm pretty sure you heard about.
Mm.
And we had so much TV coverage because we were engaged with Channel 9, right? All the
Oh yeah.
all the Coca-Cola bottles in Australia accepted the promotion, but the Sydney bottler. So in
Mm.
Sydney, we could not sell the Coca-Cola yo-yos, but the Channel
Mm.
9 yo-yos. So we actually had two uniforms, uh, one with the Coca-Cola logo on it for the rest of Australia, and one for Sydney, right? But actually, the big final, which was a fantastic thing that happened, they came the night before, and with the parents, and we supply accommodation for them, and we have a lovely dinner with all of them. We gave them a very special shirt representing their own state, and it was like the Olympics, right? So, and I guess one guy from Toowoomba,
Toowoomba.
Toowoomba
Mm.
was the guy.
Queensland.
Yeah, he was the guy who won back then. The winner would have actually got a computer for himself, but the school where he came from got a gym worth $14,000 of those days. And it was wonderful. Huh? And if I have to highlight something, I must say that we have a partner in Channel 9 by the name of Vince Sorrenti, that I'm pretty sure you
Oh
know
yeah.
him. And he
Yeah.
gave us the extra mileage that we ever needed. And actually, during that promotion, Luis Salamanca, that you might remember, he tried to break a World Guinness record, and he attempted
Mm.
three, and he managed to do one of them, right? And we were
Mm.
on live television on the Wide World of Sports on a Saturday afternoon, and
Oh, right.
Coopers and Librans were checking the whole thing in order to certify it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's amazing. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that, about the 1988 one, because at that time I was living in Japan. So
Oh, but of course.
yeah,
So
so that's very interesting information. Okay, so the other one was the other last question. It was just about your how many times you've been to Japan, and you've told me a bit about it in the past, but how why did you become fluent in the language, and what was your motivation compared to the others? Why did you succeed so well in Japan and others didn't?
excellent question. Thank you so much for that question, Robert. Look. Back in 1974, we went to South Africa at the beginning of the year. Then we went to Argentina with Alfonso Trujillo and Dick Moffat. And then from there on, they told us that in the fall there was going to be a test promotion in Japan. And we went to Kyushu, right?
Hmm.
And the whole of Kyushu was divided in two areas. So the southern part was run by the late Salvador Valdez, Chavo Valdez, and the northern part was run by my friend Alfonso Trujillo. Dick Moffat was there, Davy Jones was there, because they knew that pilot program, that test program, needed to be a success. And
Hmm.
because all the other 16 Coca-Cola bottlers of Japan were waiting for the results in order to implement theirs, right? So from the very beginning, I learned by heart that my English, despite how good it was not going to take me nowhere, right? Uh, in Kyushu. So I
Oh.
decided that I wanted to learn the language. And guess who helped me the most? The kids.
Mhm.
By running the contest, the kids were the ones who helped me the most. And then I
Mm.
bought dictionaries, then I bought books, and I started talking like a parrot, despite how many mistakes I made. Then by the end of the promotion, I will say that I could make myself understood. Then in
Mm.
1975, I was back. And by the end of that promotion, I think I was 80% fluent in Japanese.
Mm.
Then I visited Japan 26 times. 26 times. So I spent 5 years of my lifetime in Japan. And I
Five.
and I remember, itarik staring,
Mhm.
going back and forth. Once upon a time, we went to Inaka, to the countryside, and I was approaching the obasan, the old lady at the shop, and I greet her, hello, how are you, so and so and so, and she say, where are you from? And I say, I'm from Colombia. Say, no, you are a liar. You are Japanese. And I say, no, I'm not Japanese. And I have to show her my alien registration because she could not believe me. Huh? So I was let's say that I was so proud to have mastered the language. Huh? And you're not asking this, Robert, but it is a pleasure to disclose it with you and with all our audience that afterwards you just can't imagine how much Japanese has helped me professionally, right? So
Mm.
I was the very first Japanese professor in one of the most prestigious universities in Colombia, University of EAFIT in Medellin, right? And when I
Mhm.
when I opened the very first course, we have 42 people. The one who knew
Mhm.
the least, he was fluent in two languages. So 42 people eager to learn Japanese. When we finished the first class, they came out singing sukiyaki. Anyway, and then I worked for Kawasaki Motorbikes, Auteco Kawasaki, and I was the brand manager for them, and it helped me a lot to be fluent in Japanese as well. So probably it's one of the things that have helped me the most, as well as English and the other languages. But basically, English and Japanese changed my life. Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely changed
Mm.
my life. As I'm pretty sure it changed yours as well.
Well, that's right. Yes, because I worked as a translator of Japanese, so for some time, yeah, and it helped me greatly. And it's like one of my early goals was to be able to read a newspaper, and eventually, I wanted to just be able to pick up a newspaper and look at the story and go, oh, I know what that's about. And when I was able to do that, that was very satisfactory, great,
Uh,
great, great satisfaction.
Sorry to interrupt. Let me just say something about that, about newspapers and magazines in Japan. To start with, they start backwards, right?
Okay.
The
Yep.
magazine and the newspaper, you start backwards, huh? And one day, if I'm not mistaken, in Sendai, actually. Wasn't it
Mm.
1982 when we met in Sendai?
Right.
1982. It was fall of 1982, and I used to go just across our Washington Hotel, remember? In
Hmm.
Sendai, just across the street for our breakfast. And I couldn't read Japanese. I mean, I know hiragana and katakana, but obviously kanji is an impossible dream, despite how much you love the language. One thing is
Mm.
to talk, and one thing is to write and to read kanji. So I had the news of my life, and I couldn't read it, but I read in katakana that Gabriel Garcia Marquez has won the Nobel Prize of
Oh,
Literature.
right.
And I just jumped out of my chair, and people were just, you know how quiet they are in Japan in a coffee shop, but I couldn't hold my heart. The Nobel Prize in Literature was one of the most amazing achievements of all our writers. And then
Mm.
I asked the Papa-san,
Mm.
the owner of the coffee shop, to give me the newspaper, and I still
Mm.
treasure that piece.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. Well, just one more, I think one more thing I like to tell people about the when I was most impressed with you, Gustav, and I've told you this story before. We were in a taxi and there was the driver was Japanese. I was in the front seat. And then you were in the back seat, and there was one more Colombian or Mexican in the back seat, and you were having three conversations. You spoke to the taxi driver in Japanese, you spoke to me in English, and you spoke to the other yo-yo champion in Spanish. And I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing. And I always remember that, and that was a great inspiration for me to study more.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate your generous words. They mean a lot to me. How would you like to say goodbye to all our viewers throughout the world, Robert?
Well, yes, well, goodbye, everyone. Hope you have enjoyed parts of this story. It's like, well, many of the other great stories that Gustavo covers. And yes, what can I say? Keep listening, and I hope people enjoy it and get inspiration to do great things.
Thank you very much indeed. It was great to have you in our program, and I really hope someday in the near future we can meet again in your house or in mine.
Yes, that would be great. Yes, wonderful. I really look forward to that.
Okay, to all of you who have watched this wonderful program, thank you very much indeed, and we'll see you soon with another very special guest. Bye bye now.